Today we are going to learn how to make this easy lemon shortbread. Let's get started by prepping a pan. I'm going to use an 8 by 8 or a 20 centimeter pan, but you can use a 9 by 13 or a 23 by 33 centimeter pan. I'm going to use parchment paper, and a quick way to get parchment paper is to flip over your pan on the back side and then just hold it in place and crease on the corners like I'm doing here, just pinching in the sides, and then you can just fit it into your pan without doing a lot of fuss. Now if you wanted to, you could trace it out and you could cut it, you could make a sling, you could even use aluminum foil if you like, but I found this is a lot easier. Once you make the pinches, you just meet the corners and then you fold over on each side and it will fit in your pan really easily. I found this is a lot easier to do than trying to just make all these precise cuts. And because I'm not being so precise, I can use a lot of scrap parchment paper and not waste as much. I prefer to use parchment paper whenever possible, but you can use aluminum foil. I don't recommend using wax paper because it tends to stick. Now, when it comes to picking a lemon, you want to try to find one that is ripe. Try to make sure it's firm to the touch, not too many green spots like on this one. This one's a much better lemon, so we're going to use this one and set the other one aside for another project. Then a bowl to catch your juice. A juicer is very helpful, but you can use your hand if you don't have one. And then using a zester or a box grater is wonderful. We're going to use one lemon, about 2 ounces. 3 ounces is okay too, and you're just going to zest it until you get to a pale yellow stage. Do not go to the white or it'll be a little bit bitter. It's okay if you do. You can still use the zest. Just try to make it to just the pale yellow stage. Once you get done, you don't want to use your fingers. Use the back of a spoon if you want to get the zest. That way you won't accidentally cut yourself. These things are incredibly sharp, and I have grated my knuckles. A lot of times it's not a pleasant experience. If you wanted to, you can freeze lemon zest, and it holds up really well in the freezer for about 2 months before it starts to lose its flavor. I just like to put it on a scrap piece of parchment paper, put it on a tray till it's frozen, and then stick it in a baggie and label it. All that hard work gives you about a teaspoon's worth of lemon zest, maybe about a gram. It's worth it though because it smells wonderful and tastes amazing. Now, if you really wanted to kick these up a notch, you could do 2 lemons and really get a zippy flavor. But we're just going to use 1 lemon today. To make this easier, we're going to roll the lemon first. That just helps you juice the lemon easier because it just kind of breaks up the fruit. And then just carefully cut it open. I do recommend being very careful when you're cutting anything circular because that's when you're really likely to cut yourself. And I am prone to cutting myself, so I'm taking my time here. Next, we're going to make some lemon sugar. And all you do is you put the zest in the sugar. And the reason why we do this step is it helps break up that zest and really infuses that sugar with that flavor of lemon. Once we get this mixed up, it's going to look really pretty and it smells wonderful. You can use this for lemonade and it's a wonderful thing. And it looks like this. Look how beautiful it is. Set this aside, and then we are going to go on to our next step. We're going to need some butter, and we want it softened to where it just really gives way to pressure, but it's not greasy looking. If you don't have salted butter, then you're going to add in some salt. If you have salted butter, you may want to skip this step because you don't want them too salty. The salt just helps it really have a nice balanced flavor and brings out that lemon. Then we're going to put in our lemon sugar and we're going to cream these together. Once we have this stage, we're going to put in our lemon juice from that lemon, and then we're going to put in our flour and we're going to mix it together until it just starts to come together and looks like wet sand. It should look like this in the end. When you squeeze it together, it should hold its shape, but it should also come apart pretty easy at the same time. At this point, we're going to put it in our prepared pan, and you're just going to spread it out as evenly as possible, and then you're just going to start to press this down with your hands. You can use the back of a spoon if you want it to be smoother, but I don't find it's necessary. The little bit of rustic look is really a nice touch. And just do this until it is all smoothed out the best you can do. It takes a few minutes. Once you get to this stage, we are going to chill our dough while our oven is preheating. You want to preheat that oven at a low temperature, 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius. And the reason why you want to do it at such a low temperature is because you want it to be a pale color with just a barely hint of golden coloring. Okay, it has chilled and is separated a bit from the pan. Now, if you are doing this, please don't use glass and then put it in a hot oven because you can shatter your glass. You want to do this in an aluminum pan or a stainless steel, not glass. You are going to bake this anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes until it's golden brown on the edges like this and still a nice pale yellow. It will be a beautifully buttery biscuit that tastes better with age. I swear this thing just tastes even better the next day, and about 2 days later, it's wonderful to eat. To cut it, you're going to first let it cool completely in the pan and then move it to a cutting board and then do light score marks before you go ahead and cut it. And as you can see, the whole entire family is coming around, and my husband is even off camera asking if he can have a piece. This is one of our favorite things to eat. It lasts for weeks. You can freeze it. It's melt in your mouth, delicious. And we even share a little bit with the dogs. Now, when it comes to feeding your dogs, make sure your vet approves what they are eating. Some dogs do have dietary restrictions and do have allergies. So you don't want to feed your dog anything that your vet isn't approving. This isn't going to hurt them because it is a tiny bit amount of food. And honestly, it's just so wonderful. You have to share it with the people you love. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Here are your ingredients if you want to follow along. Thank you for visiting us at jacksonsjob.com, and as always, happy baking.